What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Pure Buckets podcast, the world's greatest podcast on YouTube. And today we're going to be discussing the first two games of the Warriors Celtics series in the finals. Mostly the second game. Not all of us fully watched the first one, but
Clowns.
yeah, we did look over all the stats and all that. But we fully watched game two, so we have a lot to say about game two.
Yeah.
Watched it in person, so that was very entertaining.
Yeah, as you guys
Yep.
can see on the new screen, we're doing this moving forward. The Discord, obviously, I'm
Mhm.
Cole, Lewis.
Hello.
Okay,
I'm Rohan.
okay, Rohan, SpongeBob, and then Vipin is the anime brother. All right.
You know what, Lloyd?
No, I don't know what he's from,
I
but
know.
Spy Family.
unfortunate. All right, so I guess we could talk game one real quick. I'm the only one here out of the four that actually watched the entirety of game one. We had some people that didn't watch it at all. But yeah, all right, we could talk about game one real quick. I mean, it was interesting. It was very similar to the game today in terms of how close it was in the first half.
Yeah, the first half was definitely very close.
Yeah, Boston, because Golden State was up 2 at the end of the game today at half, and
Yeah.
Celtics in the first game were up 2 at the end of the first half. But then, and then it went the same route in the third, where the Golden State took over in the third quarter. It took a double-digit lead like they did in this game, but this one obviously was a bit larger of a double-digit lead.
It was like 25 at one point.
Yeah, they were up 23 at the end of 3, and game one they were only up 12.
Yeah.
But then they were up 12 in the game one, and then they got outscored, tying a finals worst point differential for the fourth quarter, being outscored by 24 points in the fourth, 40-16. I mean, they were just outclassed completely. Like, it wasn't even fair. Brown had 10 in just the fourth quarter alone. Brown had 10. Horford had 11. Tatum actually had 0 points in the fourth quarter, but they scored 40 combined as a team. And then you look at the Warriors team in the fourth quarter. Not a single dude eclipsed 5 points.
Yeah, that causes issues.
It was just a complete fourth quarter meltdown. And what was interesting was obviously
Choke
Curry.
job vaccine.
Curry had an NBA Finals. Never forget this type of opening quarter. Game one, first quarter, he dropped 6 threes, 21 points in the quarter. By the way, like, it was a masterclass.
Record. That was a record, right?
Yeah, it was like tied
Yeah.
it was tied most threes, I think, in a quarter, or most threes in a
I
quarter.
think it was the most threes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's definitely the most threes in a
6 or 7?
six for 8
Yeah.
from 3. It was unstoppable, and you
And
could
they
tell.
lost.
And you could tell because the Celtics were playing this really interesting drop back defense where they wouldn't rise up over the screens to get him, which was pretty interesting. But yeah, he was just unstoppable for that quarter, and then he didn't score at all in the second quarter. And then third quarter he had like another 9. So then at that point he's already reached, a good number. But then the fourth quarter he scored at 4. So it wasn't Steph didn't have a bad game. People like to blame Steph. They're like, oh, he just disappears in the fourth. Well, he didn't shoot as many shots as he did in the first. He still ended up dropping 34, 5, 5, and 3 steals on 50% shooting from 3. And 50% overall. He had statistically had a very good overall game. It was just the Celtics offense was just, it's unmatched. I don't know if they can keep that up for the rest of the series, and that's obviously proven tonight with game 2.
Yeah, they didn't today. So, very sloppy. So, should we segue now into more in-depth view into game 2?
Yeah,
Yeah,
since
the
we
one
all
that we
watched it
actually
together.
watched.
We all watched it together.
Yeah.
So, Rohan, you can start it off then. What did you notice? Some things in game 2. Well, you came into the second half, but
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's kind of where everything kind of went downhill for the Celtics.
Yeah.
I think majority of it was kind of how, well, they just weren't converting on offense at all. They were miscommunicating. It could be considered that the defense from the Warriors changed a lot probably after they blew that lead in the first game.
yeah.
After they had it for majority of it, they probably tightened up their defense, and they had another big third quarter where the Warriors offense also, you know, hitting like what was it from half court at the end of third quarter,
Yeah, that was
or was it?
insane. That was third quarter. You're right.
And like the play before that, he was hitting it again from like really far deep. I'm pretty sure, right? And both of those were contested. So obviously, Poole was there. Uh, Another thing, three of the Boston Celtics starters scored 2 points.
Yeah, and
Which is so
especially
good.
coming
It's a high
after coming off of like career games in that Game 1 final.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the real
and
reason they won that first game. So.
all of their starters were in negatives in box plus minus. And Tatum specifically, even though he scored a lot of points, it was rough at box plus minus for him.
That's why I feel like box plus minus for a single game is kind of trash stat though.
Yeah, because on like his 3-point percentage is pretty high. It's 6 for 9. That's pretty good. And what do you call it? His field goal percentage could be a little bit better, but it's okay. 8 for 19. I mean, it's like mediocre.
Yeah, like Rohan, you know that minus 36 is an NBA Finals worst ever for a player in a finals game.
Oh my God.
But he literally outperformed everybody else on his team. It was only so low because he was on the court for most of the game.
Yeah, they have destroyed most of the game. So.
He did have the second highest turnovers from the team. The only other person was Marcus Smart with 5.
I mean, yeah, we watched Marcus Smart make some careless passes.
Yeah, I think so I think as like watched like just throughout the game, right? Just common trend I noticed from the Celtics was turnovers. They turned the ball over so many times. Like just carelessly. Like they're not even like they weren't even trying to make a pass. They were just dribbling up the court, boom, ball's gone. Like you can't do that. Like I think if you look at the actual numbers, the Warriors I think had more turnovers.
No. The Celtics had 6 more. Yeah, the Celtics had 6 more this game. The last game they had less. The Warriors had 2.
I'm looking at the wrong game. My bad.
What was really different is like they did have like Celtics had 18 and Warriors had 12, but the points off turnovers is what really widened the gap in the third quarter. I think it was like in the third quarter they showed the stat. I don't know what they finished at, but it was like 28 points for the Warriors and like 9 points off turnovers for the Celtics. So like when Celtics were making mistakes,
the Warriors offense was
they
clicking.
were clicking because you could see it like throughout the game. It would be like careless passes into the paint, careless passes on the perimeter. But I mean, in the first half, they had a decent enough offense to where they could
keeping up.
Yeah, they were keeping up. They were staying in the game.
And then it slowly just got away from them.
That second half hit, they kind of lost their mojo, stopped scoring on that, and you could see like that third quarter, they scored like I don't know, what was it like
combined
14 points,
yeah.
Which is with a high-powered offense of the 35 points they scored, you're not gonna keep up. Obviously,
yeah. One thing I want to say that we like to expose ourselves. The points off of turnovers, Warriors had 15 and the Celtics had 33.
Oh, so it was the opposite?
Yeah. Even though the Celtics had 7 more turnovers, they had 18 more points off of the turnovers.
I think that just displays to you how bad the starters played today.
I guess, yeah.
They didn't even take that many shots. That's the problem. Like, Jaylen Brown played pretty rough.
Well,
5 for 17 shooting is not so hot.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
If you look at like the 3 starters who only scored 2 points, Robert Williams, 1 for 1. Also 1 for 4.
Yeah.
Marcus Smart 1 for 6. So no one shot like a crazy amount of shots. I mean, if you look off the bench, there's like some. Yeah, maybe they just didn't take enough shots. 30 for 80 for the Celtics total shots, and the Warriors took 39 for 86.
I feel like with so many turnovers, they were like really. They were trying to play like really quick. I didn't really see a lot of plays develop, and that's why they couldn't get like the ball into the hands of their starters. Like they weren't letting the shots come. I guess they were just kind of forcing them, and a lot of those. Also, like, even though I feel like the Celtics, they had more rebounds statistically, obviously, right? But
no,
they had
like only one more.
Yeah, one more. But I feel like the rebounds they were getting weren't converting them. Like they were just. Like you could see it a lot. They were just prancing around for the ball, and then nothing would come of it.
Yeah, really, the only difference in this game, when you look at the numbers, is like they had the exact same 3-point percentage. The free throws were similar. They had like basically the same rebounds. Both of them. Assists were one up off each other. The difference is just the turnovers and the points in the paint. because with something, I don't know, and you guys can take this how you want, but I find it kind of, not to be a good thing when a team scores 15 3-pointers and then 15 2-pointers.
Yeah, the amount of threes made should not be
Yeah.
the same as the amount of twos made. Just should not.
Well, like it's good if it's like obviously both of them are elevated, but when they're both like at what they had 15 each, how can you only make 15 twos in a game?
Yeah, it's
Wait, so as a team wide, they did that?
yeah.
Celtics, right? So they
Yeah.
made 30 points off of 2-pointers in the
Yes.
entire game. That's that just can't work. I mean, like
Well, they just-
I
yeah.
remember early on, like they were making solid amount of like threes. I think whenever they tried to go into the paint, they struggled a bit with their ball movement to get like a proper drive into the paint.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. They had like they tried those early like passes into the paint, and that's where they had the turnovers, and they kind of shied away from it. So I feel like we saw a lot less of that in the second half, and that's where they kind of fell off. Like
In the second half, they started. I feel like they just stopped being as aggressive in the paint, which just
yeah,
which made obviously them may score a lot less 2-pointers
Yeah.
as they should have.
they're just
'Cause
chucking up shots.
I think just like in a situation like this, like when really is it good to have equal amount of 3-pointers as 2-pointers?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think
Unless
that's
you have,
good
like,
ever.
50 of
'Cause-
each or something.
Yeah, like
no.
because just in
Right.
general, 3-pointers obviously a much harder shot to make, right? So
Yeah.
having that be equal, especially in such low numbers like 15, that's like nothing, bro.
Especially with a team like the Celtics against, the Warriors are not like a tall team by any means. They play a lot of small
No,
ball
no,
a lot
yeah.
of the times. Their big presence is Kevon Looney, who no disrespect because obviously he played, really good in Western Conference Finals, but like, it's Kevon Looney, right? And you have like multiple bigs on the Celtics, especially like that's why Al Horford. Why do you think Al Horford did so good last game?
Hey,
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to ask Rohan, where do you think you see the series going from here?
Well, I mean, considering how the first two games were split, I feel like the Celtics will take the next two. Not gonna lie, I think they'll take both, but then I think the Warriors will take the next two after that.
And then it'll go to 7 back in San Francisco.
Yeah.
I hope so. That was such an entertaining game.
Series. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think it'll happen.
Okay. Vipin,
mean,
what?
I-
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I don't have any real stats to give you for that
Yeah.
or anything.
The feeling.
It's just a prediction, yeah.
Vipin, where? I'll ask you, Vipin, and then I'll ask Lewis. Vipin, what do the Warriors need to do to win this series?
Well, first of all, if you like look at how Klay Thompson played today, that can't happen again. Like they won today, which is nice, but I think the reason for them winning today is more so on the Celtics playing bad than the Warriors playing like exemplary. You know what I mean? Like the Warriors played good. I just think you really can't afford to have Klay shoot 1 for 8 on 3 again.
I
Like
feel
you
like they
just
played-
can't.
Or I was gonna say, I feel like they played good defensively, but offensively, they actually were kind of similar,
They felt,
almost.
like very. They didn't shoot very efficient at all. Like
I mean,
as
it
a
was a
team,
low-scoring
45%. It was,
Yeah.
but still, I mean, they shot as a team wide. The Warriors shot 40% from 3, which that works for them.
Yeah.
And the Celtics also did that though. So the Celtics really messed up on the 2-pointers, which really messed them up.
Yeah, they shot like
Yeah.
10% worse.
They shot 37.5% from the field, which it's not gonna win you a game. I promise you that.
The difference, I would say, is definitely the starters in this game because the bench points, Celtics had 37 bench points and the Warriors had 35. And then obviously Curry and Tatum are basically matched up. And then Brown had a good 17, which was more than any other Warrior starter other than Curry. But then obviously you have Horford, Williams, and Smart combined for 6. And then the other 3 on Golden State combined for 34. That was the huge. That was the big. That's a 28-point gap we're talking about.
Yeah.
I'll ask Lewis.
Can't
And
win
so
with
that was the Warriors. Where do you think the Celtics go from here to win this series? What do they need to do?
I think at least we know Tatum can bounce back from a bad performance. So I think he needs to stay consistent. Jaylen Brown, I think they're gonna stay relatively pretty good throughout the series. Obviously, we talked about the other 3 starters. They need to pick it up. They need to stay at least give the bare minimum. they need to take more shots. They need to be more aggressive in the paint. They need to focus on letting plays develop, letting the shots come to them, opening up, finding space. Because when you're giving away so many turnovers, you're playing too fast, you're playing sloppy, and then the game just it gets away from you like it did in the third quarter. They
Yeah.
stopped scoring, they lost their presence in the paint, and then it just all falls apart, and you can't catch up like they did in the first game. Like they got lucky. I feel like they got lucky in the first game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel like to win this series, they need to consistently go out there, I mean, if you're not going to be efficient, at least put a lot of shots up and try to get those points. Because when you said Al Horford shot what, twice or something? Or
In
six
this
times?
game, he shot 4 times.
Yeah, and then Williams shot what, one time, right?
Yeah, 1 time.
You know, you're going to lose the game if you're not shooting the ball. It's simple as that. So when your starters aren't shooting, you're going to lose that presence, and then it's just going to go downhill. So
Yeah.
I think they need to just be more confident, I guess.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Robert Williams did actually only play 14 minutes despite being a starter, which is yeah, but whatever. The final thing we'll touch on, is anybody here changing their prediction from what we gave a couple days ago with starting our finals? Me and Lewis had Celtics in 7. Rohan, you had Celtics in 7 or 6?
Celtics in 7.
So we all had Celtics in 7, and then Vibin had a Warriors in 7. Does anyone think they want to change it based off of what we've seen in these last 2 games?
Yeah.
No?
I mean,
No.
what I saw today doesn't mean like, oh my god, the Warriors are winning. I didn't see anything like that today. But I still think what I saw today didn't discourage me from my original take. So
Yeah,
I would
for
be standing
sure.
by it.
Yeah. I
And
feel the
if
same way.
even if I did was on the Celtics side, I didn't see anything today that like would be like, oh my god, Celtics are toast. I didn't see that either. It's
Yeah.
just
Because they're a team
showing
capable
with the starters.
of picking it up. So I'm not really too
Yeah.
worried.
If
They're
they
not
have
going
a bad
to completely combust, you know.
Yeah,
They're
absolutely.
fine.
All right, well, sounds good. Thank you guys so much for watching this this quick little game 2, game 1 recap. We'll be back and we'll probably do the same thing, I believe. We're gonna try to aim for the rest of the games of the series. Anyone have any final words here?
Not really.
Anything that's too crazy. I'm
Um,
excited for the rest of the series though. It's gonna be very interesting.
I think it's going to be a good series regardless. So.
Right on. Up the Celtics, and we'll see you guys in the next one.